My name is Art Adams, and I'm a mental health and addiction counselor. I have been in this business since 1987. I was in full-time preaching work until that time, and since then I've been doing part-time preaching. And basically what I do is I work with individuals that have issues in life, walking wounded, which means they're not necessarily diagnosable, but they're still struggling with life's situations, some of which they haven't really brought on themselves, they've inherited from other people. I've worked both in the inpatient setting, I've worked in outpatient, I've been a clinical director, I've been a corporate vice president of operations, a number of things I've done. All those will be outlined in my bio. The biggest thing is I'm a gospel preacher, and my biggest concern is the needs of the church, which I believe are very great in our day and time. Dan, maybe you can say something about how we met each other and kind of where we're going together here on this.
Yeah, this is, I'm really thrilled to be a part of this. We were talking earlier, I guess we first met back in 1969 down at Florida College.
Mm-hmm.
I was the new basketball coach and athletic director there. You were a student. Mm-hmm. Your brother Stan was there, and but we saw you holding a gospel meeting at Southport Church of Christ here in Indianapolis a few months ago, and we reconnected there and followed up with you. You invited me to a symposium that the Indiana Attorney General had put together, and I agreed to go with you to that, and it turned out to be, to me, just to be fascinating. The title of that symposium was Prescription Drug Addiction, and what a problem it is, not just in Indiana, but in the whole country. And so through all that, what you might find interesting is that one conversation has led to another, and it's led us to develop this project that we've got going of Leaving the Pit.
I have been doing weekend series with congregations since about 2004, or maybe a little bit before that, and I'm averaging several a year. And what I'm noticing as I go to the different congregations is we are kind of an epidemic in a lot of issues. I know that hurt people, and I know that we keep secrets sometimes, and I know there's lack of trust and because we don't trust and because we keep our secrets, we sometimes come to our services hurting, and we study our Bibles and we leave hurting and carry our issues with us. As I've gone around on these weekend meetings, a number of individuals, I always try to leave opportunity for people to meet with me individually. And I have seen just a tremendous amount of problems that people are hesitant to talk about and yet need so desperately to have help for. Issues such as pornography, which is rampant in congregations. I'm estimating that we're running about 40% of pornography issues among the men in our conservative congregations. Our women are a little further behind than that. They're running about 25%. That's about 1 in 4 that have issues with the relationship websites. And some have even gone as far as to have online affairs, participate in cyber sex by use of the mouse, going into the little private rooms on the internet. Some have even left their home and family and gone across the country to meet up with somebody they met on the internet, the relationship kind of thing. More so, we have people that are coming distances to Indianapolis, where we live, to try to work on some of these issues. And not only do we have issues with pornography, problems with drugs, prescription drugs are especially an issue, the abuse of prescription drugs. I've had several church leaders call me and say, you know, we have a problem in our congregation. So-and-so keeps calling me and asking if I have any of my Darvocets left, or any of my Tylenol 3s from my dental surgery. Says they ran out of their prescription. I just kind of wonder what to do about that. And my response is, are you your brother's keeper or your brother's dealer? And in those cases, passing on medications that are not prescribed for the person you're giving to, that's called drug dealing, and that's called a felony. People go to prison for that. But we have people who abuse prescription drugs, and even over-the-counter things, medications, and sometimes they're very hooked on this stuff. And we wonder sometimes why people come in lethargic or why it seems like they can't think straight. There's a good reason. They're drugged up when they're talking with us.
You know, this has just been so fascinating to me. I've been preaching off and on since, I guess I started back in '69. It's come up twice, hasn't it? But in those that are watching this and that hopefully will come to our website and come to the seminars, in working with Christians and working in different parts of the country, studying, I'm passionate about evangelism. I've done evangelism workshops in various places. And if those that have been involved in trying to go out in the community and teach people, you learn real quick that you run into folks that have problems. And it shouldn't surprise us. And oftentimes we can show them, obviously we can show them what the Bible teaches, what they need to do to obey the gospel and to be pleasing to God. But there's a lot of issues that sometimes you hear people call it baggage, a lot of things that they bring with them. And some things they need help in getting out of. And a lot of times I've served as an elder in Kentucky and here now in Indiana. And sometimes people come to us with problems and we find ourselves not equipped to be able to help them and not knowing really what to say. And so that's again one of the reasons why we've put this together, is to be able to help the leadership in the congregations to better understand, be more aware of what's going on in the congregations, to know more about the sheep that they're overseeing, and then to realize that there's going to be times that they're going to need to get outside help, and where do they go and who do they turn to, and that's why we've put this together.
Absolutely. Jesus talked about how the kingdom of heaven is like a great dragnet that's cast out, and basically all manner of people get caught in the opportunity to become a Christian. Caught maybe isn't a good word, but they have opportunity to become a Christian. And when people come to Jesus with all of the ugliness of a sinful life, then they bring those issues, the baggage, if you would, they bring it with them, and they're asking for help. They want to know, how do I overcome this? How do I stop doing these things that I have just automatically, almost naturally done? I call them ANDs, automatic negative thoughts, and automatic negative lifestyles. And it's very natural for them. And they're trying to overcome it, to rise to a different level. So on one hand, we have those coming out of the world that bring their history with them. And then we have those in the church that often are looking in the world. Dad, we've been talking about what our answer to some of these issues are. And basically what I see is a four-pronged approach. The first is there's not enough of us to go around. So far as I know, I am the only male counselor doing mental health and addictions in the conservative churches. If there are others, I certainly need to know, because we need help. I think I'm the only male. There are at least 3 females that we have identified who are members of the conservative churches. And certainly they do wonderful work. One works with children, the other 2 work basically the whole spectrum. But we do have talent amongst us. But the laborers really are few in
So-
terms of this counseling.
And some of the laborers are getting older, so we need to
Yes.
talk about bringing some young folks.
So
to
as
help
I use the term aging out,
aging out.
and as we have enough time to get this started, but we are going to need to be able to turn this over to some others because these problems aren't going away.
Right.
We can address them, but they are with us in part of unfortunately the culture we live in. So we need people who are equipped. We also, I believe, need to find others who play supportive roles among our brethren. And one of the things that we really want to do is to identify the talent that's within the different congregations and be able to rely on each other. We've done that with this putting this team together. Our graphic artist is a member of the church. He actually preaches. He's the son of a preacher, and as am I.
Should we say his name?
Um,
Probably should.
let's
You
get
think?
Jonathan is with us today.
Jonathan. What's his last name?
Jonathan Hardman.
Jonathan
He's
Hardman.
from a family of preachers, and he preaches up in Peru, Indiana. It's so good to meet him, and look forward to meeting his family, the rest of his family. But Jonathan has been doing our graphics. He's doing our website and is our
Facebook. And
our videographer, our Facebook. He is our.
he's going to try to make this look good after we get through.
He
that.
knows the stuff that left us in the Model T age with electronics. And Jonathan's website is Everest Graphics.
EverestGraphics.weebly.com.
Say that one more time. Just to
EverestGraphics.weebly.com. Okay.
And we said that because I had a senior moment.
But no, yeah, any help you need in any of those areas, I know Jonathan would appreciate the work and the support there, and we're looking forward to working with him as we go forward.
By the way, Jonathan also has the ability to do PowerPoints.
Yes, he does.
And I'm going to rely heavily on him to help get me ready for these presentations.
He also preaches. He's also preaching at the congregation in Peru.
Yes.
So
Yes,
just a lot of good things. But you'll hear more about Jonathan as we develop this.
yes. You and I are members of the church, and we are trying to surround ourselves with a group of those who are members of the church that understand the things that we believe, and will not mess with that in any kinds of counseling or advice kinds of situations. We desperately need that. Many of our members have been taught don't trust counselors. And some of that's with good reason, that they hear the horror stories of people that have been given bad information and have acted on that, and some homes have broken up, and what secular people will say is is very different sometimes than what people like with a church background would say.
Because everything we're going to do, as we've said in some of the material, is all biblically based.
Absolutely.
And back to, you said there were 4 points. So I want to take you back to
Yep.
You had the first one, the second one now. What are we going to do with that one?
Well, we're going to do the train the trainer. The second one that we're going to do is a consult service. And basically what this is when those leaders run into situations they don't quite know what to do with, or maybe is outside the scope of where what they usually deal with, then it's an opportunity that you can call in, arrange a go-to meeting or something, maybe a conference, and we can address whatever issues. There are a number of different things electronically now that we can do, and I think still guard confidentiality. So the consultation piece. The third thing that we want to do is very critical, and that is we need to have not just train people or educate them, which we would do with leaders, but we also need to be able to offer some treatment services. One of those is what's called a retreat, and it typically is a 3-day, pretty intensive sessions dealing with whatever the issues are that the persons that come to us have. We will start with a retreat that is for people that have been caught up in the pornography world and are trying to turn loose of that, and it has such a hold on them, they are really struggling with it. So we would deal with that. The second phase of that retreat would be to deal with their spouses, but to deal with them separately. Before we can deal with the problem together, we need to look at the individuals as people first, and to get them on solid ground. Whether the marriage stays together or not, the people still need to be in relationship with the Lord, doing what the Bible teaches, dealing with life, a tough situation, in such a way that they bring glory to God and not horror to the church and to themselves and to families for generations to come. So the third piece there of those retreats we would bring husband and wife together, and we would work on building and strengthening the marriage and working past that the horrible event that was introduced with pornography and electronic devices. So that's what a retreat would be. Those would be essentially daytime activity, 3 days in a row, and we would have counselors on site. I would be one of those that would be working with these individuals. It's amazing the kind of layers of things that build up in people's lives. The average young person today is introduced to pornography by the third grade.
And some of these stats that I've heard here recently are just mind blowing. I mean,
Yes.
And I thought I was, pretty well educated and pretty well up to speed with what's going on. But there's just a lot of things going on here. Our society has changed so rapidly. You mentioned something earlier. I heard a stat. This was on an Indiana football team last year. There was an incident at the end of the game, and they were interviewing the coach. And the next day they did an interview with him, but he made a comment. He had 85 boys on the football team. 95% of those boys didn't have a dad at home.
Wow.
And that just really, I'm an old coach, but that just really shocked me. So that coach of what he's trying to do there, of equipping his team to win football games, of trying to teach the kids to be good citizens and good students and all that. But there's a lot of things that they can't relate to him on because the family has broken down. And we see, so we go out and we're trying to teach the gospel to other people. Those are environments that we're going to be going into. And we see, unfortunately, some of the same thing is carried over, and where families are struggling even in the Lord's church. And what happens we've called it the big picture a couple of times, of an extended stay of somebody that has issues that are a little deeper that need to help with.
Okay, well that segues us to that fourth
Yes,
wing. The fourth wing is that we need a place. We believe this, and this is what we're trying to accomplish, a place where members of the church can come for health and healing in an environment that is conducive to that 24/7 environment. We would foresee that the minimum stay would be 1 month. During that time, if the issue is addiction, if it's substance addiction, they would need to have gone through a detox. But then this is more the rehab treatment phase of that. Helping people to relearn, to remember again what it's like to be drug-free, alcohol-free, and that's a big issue. It will be about the third week, the end of the second to the beginning of the third week, before those people will wake up from their drug or their alcohol. They may be showing clean, but the fog lingers. And here's the sad thing. With many people that quit alcohol and drugs, they will go into a detox and a 3-day rehab, and then they're turned loose.
It just doesn't work, does it?
Many times it doesn't. What they've had is a vacation from their chemical,
Okay.
but they haven't learned the necessary tools to cope with what got them there to start with. And here's what we know, is the more treatment we can string together for an addiction in a year's time, the better the prognosis. People who go into standard alcohol and drug treatment. There is positive in that, but the rates are about 50-50 success. That's not real good, especially if I'm on the bad 50 and I've spent a lot of money. But those rates of success go up significantly the more the people are in recovery. Here's why. Because not only do we go through the recovery and start getting our feet on the ground, start feeling some level of normalcy again, but there's a thing called post-acute withdrawal. And what that means is about every 60 to 90 days, the person's going to feel like they'll wake up one morning, it's like, I feel like I've been using, man.
Wow.
My head's thick, I can't think, I can't even hardly remember my phone number. And, I thought I was getting better. And they go into that slump. That slump is where most folks relapse. And many people do not know about how the body, in the rebound effect, it will rebound and then it'll dip, and it'll rebound and it'll dip. And that continues over the course of about the first year to some degree or the other.
See, even all of that, some things I've been exposed to and know about some of that, but I'm thinking a lot of folks that are watching this, you've mentioned the word no a lot of times. We don't know. That's what we're talking about. We don't know. What's the old saying? We don't know what we don't know. But so that's what we're trying to do here is have a forum where we can provide some education and training for people so that we can learn how to help each other. And one of the things that's been a challenge as we've talked about doing this is how do we get this out to Christians? How do we get this out into the world to let them know what we're trying to do here, the ones that would want to take advantage of it and come to some of the seminars. And Jonathan's helped us with a website and with a Facebook page, and we're trying to do some videos, and hopefully these will get better. But let's talk a minute about what we're trying to do with, we've got one coming up here December 19th.
Yes.
And we're going to have the website that we'll be getting information out on that, where people could go to the website, learn more about what we're trying to do and some other information that's there. And then even where they can go online and register to come to the seminar. And then we've got these scheduled for all of next year as well. Which
absolutely. We're not here on the short term.
No, we're committed to this. And so with all of the goals and the modules and the titles are all listed on the website, and that website's still under construction, which we're excited about. But another thing I wanted to mention there is that if I come to that, what am I going to see? I mean, what kind of training is there going to be? Isn't it true that we're going to have some folks there that even have experienced some things?
Absolutely.
This is quite fascinating.
I have been counseling with members of the church in my private practice for a number of years, and we're going to have a panel of conservative members of the church who have taken this journey. These are people on each of these topics, and we'll start with pornography. We're going to have about 6 to 8 of our men and their wives that are going to be there with us and talk about their journey and what it was like to be in the pit, how they got there, how they got out, and where they're heading from now, and what they needed along the way that they got, and what they needed that they didn't get.
See, we've talked about that, and to me that's so powerful, of people that would have the courage to do that, to admit, hey, I've got issues, I needed help, I got the help that I needed, and this is how that evolved, this is how that looked, and here we are.
Absolutely.
Here we are on this side of it, and to be able to hear, I'm personally looking forward to meeting those folks and hearing their story, and I think it's going to be extremely motivating. So the ones that want to come to this, not only are you going to hear all the facts and all the information that Art's going to be presenting, but you're going to be able to meet folks that have actually gone through some of these things and are willing to share with you, with all of us, of what that journey's been like.
We will talk in this particular training seminar that's coming up. We will talk about things like active listening. The person who's counseling needs skills. If we are perceived to be judgmental,
What'd you say? No,
skills.
No, listening.
Yeah.
I need to listen.
If we are judgmental coming out of the gate, and we look like we're really turned off or disgusted by what someone is saying. When someone is asking us for help, even though it is disgusting sometimes, even though we wonder how could you ever get in a situation like that, we need to have a spirit of compassion, not condoning the sin, but trying to help the sinner who has come to us for help.
Right.
And helping them get out of this miry pit. So we'll talk about active listening skills. We will talk about critical thinking, to where many times people will tell you, here's the problem. The problem isn't the problem. The solution to the problem has become the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to not only deal with the solution that's become the problem, but go back to the original problem. And sometimes what we find is these problems are 4 and 5 layers deep. If I haven't said this before, I do need to say this, that we're dealing with a generation that the statistics show in the general population that 1 in 4 females has been sexually abused by the time she is 18. 1 in 5 males reports the same. I think that largely speaks to our culture. It speaks to the blended family and some of the craziness that we see when homes are not like God wants them to be, certainly.
Right.
But we have hurt people, and those hurt people sometimes grow up and have not adequately dealt with that hurt, and they take that into their marriage, and it impacts the marriage. We are seeing, I'm hearing multiple, I've heard so much, multiple reports, not only on the pornography end of those who are caught in the trap of pornography and the electronic devices, the abuse of those, but on the other hand, what I'm hearing is infrequency of marital rights. People that will tell me, well, you know, we have sex 4 times a year, maybe, or my wife has decided that I have to wait a whole year before we can get back together until I really get this thing dealt with. So we deal with issues on both sides. We deal with retaliation. We deal with resentments, bitterness. And so quite literally, we have those that are partakers of other people's sins. Their reaction to it has become a sin for them.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We talked about this, I think, this morning. But if I don't know how to handle a situation, let's say that you sin against me, or we have something that breaks down here in our relationship, and so yes, you've committed a sin. But then, if I don't handle that correctly, if I fly off the handle, or if I turn around and deal with it in a way that I think is right, but I might end up, like you just said, I could sin myself by not reacting the right. So it's knowing all of those type things. How do I respond if somebody does ask me, if somebody has wronged me? We know what the scriptures teach, but how does it really play out on a day-to-day basis of keeping that relationship going?
And the way that plays out behind closed doors is the offender, the one that kind of got the ball rolling on this, that person is trying to correct the mate who resents them anyway,
right?
And that just doesn't fly.
Yeah.
So that's where outside help is needed, and that's where an atmosphere of trust and compassion and solution focused with God as the ultimate answer, that's the message we need to get to people that are really striving. And most of these folks are sincere. They're Christians. Divorce is not on their picture, not on their map, but they don't know what to do.
Right.
And life is thrown them a curve.
I'm interrupting you. They want to go to heaven, right? Mm-hmm. They want to do the right thing, but they're frustrated. Sometimes we see people that are going along real well, and they run into issues, and all of a sudden they don't know how to handle it. And then you start seeing them miss services, and then, where's Joe, or where's Susie, and they're trying to deal with these things, and they don't really know how to handle it. And then we don't, there's more to it than just say, well, you need to be here. Well, they know that, and they don't need to miss. But there's issues there that they need help, and we really strongly believe this is a forum that could help them.
Yes, but we've talked a lot about the pornography because that's our upcoming seminar. But there are many other things we're going to be talking about. One of those is the crisis cycle. That crises is usually has a fairly predictable cycle, and there's different ways to respond at each of those phases. And so we will talk about that. There are magic windows in there where you can reach a person that looks like they're unreachable, and we will talk about those in that particular thing. How do you respond to crisis? We deal with that all the time. Crisis over a death, crisis over conflict. Someone's torn the house up, or some kind of excuse me, some kind of other thing has gone on. So we will address that, and what is our stance with that? Here's the thing, and this is a scary thing. We can be the decisive factor. We, the counselors, we, the people folks come to for advice. We can be the decisive factor in whether that thing works out successfully or works out unsuccessfully. If I see my role as blistering people and punishing them and kicking them to the curb and being disgusted, then I have not helped the problem. I've helped the problem to get worse. I've complicated it. So we want to talk about what our role is while not compromising the scriptures at all.
Not condoning sin.
And not condoning sin at all. How do we help people to eradicate these things from their life when they come to us for help? We don't kick them in the teeth.
Yeah. Well, I hope the ones that are watching this and have come to the website, because that's where we're going to see this video, will seriously consider coming to join us on December the 19th. We'll be at the Hilton Gardens Hotel there off County Line Road. The address is on the website.
Exit 101.
Exit 101, thank you. And we'll be there from 9 to 5. We'll have lunch, and it's a very pleasant, very, very pleasant setting, and I think everybody will enjoy that. And then I know Art's worked really hard on this material. Been working on it for a long time, haven't you? And to be able to present it in this format, we're really excited and looking forward to it.
This is not what people have heard on the weekend addictions.
Right. With your series.
That's heavily loaded to scriptures and to this is something you better not be doing.
Right.
This is how to help people that are doing this.
Right.
Part of it's education and part of it is solution focused.
Well, we're hoping that the people that come to this, when they leave, what are we hoping that they'll walk away with?
I'm hoping they will walk away with an awareness that there's a very serious problem, a series of problems amongst us. The one we will address this time is pornography, and the electronic addictions like sexting and relationship addictions and all that from this. And that what starts on the screen does not stay on the screen usually. It is very progressive. As Paul told Timothy, evil men and seducers wax worse and worse.
Right.
You don't get better. It progresses. So hopefully they'll walk away with that. They will walk away with some tools and some resources that can help. And part of those resources will be right in that room. Hopefully those coming will get comfortable with us. Will realize they can pick up the phone. They can schedule consults. They can send people to us for either individual treatment or for retreats. And as we develop this, that we almost jump past that. The big piece is to have a residential center, but that's the most costly of all of what we're trying to do. There's not only the cost of the building and property, but the licensures and all that stuff that goes with it, the hiring of a full-time staff, clearances with Board of Health and regulatory standards. We're willing to do that, but we need people that will put some money behind it and help us on this.
Well, the other thing that I wanted to make sure we mentioned is that, and we don't have time to talk about it today, but we're working on a certification program, a facilitator program where people that go through these sessions with us, that at the end of the process they will be certified. We heard a report the other day of just in Indiana of the mental health issues. I saw a report, maybe some of you saw it on Channel 13, 71,000 children are dealing with mental health issues in the state of Indiana. When I first saw that, I thought, 71,000? If it had said 7,000, I would have been shocked. And then they went on to say that there's only 14 counties that have a licensed social worker that's equipped to help children going through that. So all of the other but a statement was made that it's going to take 10 years before Indiana is up to par to be able to help just the citizens of Indiana.
That statement was made by the legislators in the General Assembly about 4 weeks ago.
I know it's current news. And then
10 years to meet today's demand. We don't have the people to do it. And in the church,
Yes.
that's what we're trying to do.
that's what we're trying to do.
We're trying to focus our attention on the church.
Well, thanks for joining us today, and there'll be other videos in the future as we go along.